So today it sounds like we're going to talk about how to write offers that don't suck.
Yeah, that's right.
I fought to keep that title.
I know it came over differently. He's like, wait, that doesn't say what I want. Oh, Justin.
Hey, if we're gonna do it, it should be fun. So
I know. Hey,
That's
real
right.
quick, pause, time out. DJ Marlowe, who's on here, is going to be our DJ for the Halloween event. I'm super excited.
hey, Michael, I advocated that since you're doing a company thing that we should dictate your costume. So
Yeah, we got it all picked out last night.
yeah,
Can we
SpongeBob.
continue? Oh man, you guys! I swear we'll get serious. Thanks for joining.
I don't know if we'll get serious, but we'll get informative. How about that? We can make that fun.
Yeah.
So, cool.
Well,
No, that's
Justin,
super good. I'm stoked on this. I would just love to see everyone on the team be honestly, when you're submitting an offer, more than not, just knowing you're going to get it accepted because of the way you work your market, the way you work the situation, the way you read the client, read the listing agent. So, yeah, really excited to do that. Serri, for reference too, since how many homes have you listed and sold, like roundabout, probably?
I mean, I put on my stuff 2000, but like it's ish around there. Yeah.
Sample size on like what makes a listing agent crazy and what makes them happy? Like you have your answer, like ask Siri, right? It's like we have a website. But really like utilize her as a resource because we'll just jump right in. And I would tell you the number one thing, who picks an offer for a client? In reality, let's go with in reality. We know on paper, but in reality, who picks the client's offer?
Is that a question for me
For anyone,
or
sure.
everybody?
The agent.
The agent.
What's that?
Yeah.
The agent.
Yeah. It sounds wrong to say it. You're like the client. I don't feel like I want to trick them. You're like, no, it's the agent, right? Because we all know, like Siri, like if it works out, we're at a table. There's 10 offers. We go through it, right, with the client, and we go, this one's the highest, but let me tell you about the agent.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I have that right now, you guys. We just were opening one today, and we have 3 offers, and it is not the highest offer by any means. And it's because I've worked with that agent before.
Yeah. And then there's some, and that's like potentially the other agent who had highest didn't do anything different. It's just Siri has a very precious history with the other one. That you can't really substitute that. Good history with the agent is like gold currency in any market that you're in. And agents know we have memories, right? But yeah, it's the agent that ultimately steers the client and has the heaviest word on what offer gets accepted. So really there's a couple stages when it comes to writing an offer. The first one's the pre-offer stage, and that's everything before you write an offer. Super simple. From the showing to the MLS instructions to showing the property, minding your P's and Q's, all that kind of stuff, which we'll talk about. And then there's going to be writing the offer and then the follow-up. So there's 3 stages to it. The longest is going to be the pre. The pre-offer is the longest. And I don't know about you, Siri. I think that Jody said, I'm sick, so no camera today. Oh, come on, Jody. Just kidding. We get it. You would probably like agree to, like, I feel like a lot of agents, I'm not saying anyone here, but we turn our brains off and we show house, open door until the client wants to write an offer. And then magically we're playing catch up, right? That's where all the hard work, quote unquote, starts, is when we want to write the offer or we write the offer and submit it, right? It's not the pre-offer stage. That's where all the good stuff happens. So, number one, I'll tell you guys, my number one rule for getting an offer accepted, and all the listing agents will say hallelujah to this: follow the MLS instructions for showings. Right?
We've laughed. Yeah.
Oh, COVID was the worst, man. Those PED forms and MLS showing time, CBS instructions, like people were just crazy, man. Like, talk about rapport falling apart and you falling flat on your face before you even got in the door. Like, feel free to text me at 7 on a Friday, asking if you can see it Saturday at 9 a.m. Ignoring the MLS instructions, ignoring any sort of forms you have to fill out, ignoring showing time. It's going to go well for you. Because then what pops up in my text messages the second you say, hi, Justin, we submitted an offer on your listing. me telling you to follow the MLS instructions, right? And then automatically your name is attached to that failure and your client's name is attached to that failure right at the start. It sounds stupid, but guys, people are so busy. Like, just don't make it hard on them. So do you have anything to add on that one? Yeah, Liv. Forgot about PED forms. Yeah.
I know. I actually was in Zip Forms yesterday and I saw the PED and I brought it up. So some of you might not even know what PED is if you just started, but it was a form that made it really hard for us to even get into the home.
What was the
during COVID. Yeah.
What was the name on that form? Oh my gosh.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It just,
form.
it was a lot.
Yeah.
Property entry something? Property entry addendum? No.
Disclosure,
Something.
probably, yeah.
It's gone. That's all that matters.
Yeah. Let's forget about
Yeah,
it.
Shinar's falling apart. It's probably because of peds. But yeah, totally. So do you have anything to add to that, Serri, on like the MLS piece of it? Structure.
I don't know. I think there's a few things that I heard you saying is, I mean, I know this is about how to write an offer that doesn't suck, but also I guess how to prepare your clients for that offer and what you're going to do. So like, I know some of you guys are on platforms where it's like, hit a button, come show a house, here we go. And every once in a while, and this is going to be rare right now, every once in a while you'll show a house where they actually want to write on that house. Those days are somewhat over. Would you guys say yes? It takes more work. Yeah. So I guess what I hear is what kind of conversations and dialogue are you guys having with these people up front to say, hey, I'm going to prepare you when we get to that offer stage. How many of you guys are using the buyer offer link that we have? And how many of you guys don't know what I'm talking about? Drop a 1 in the chat if you don't know what I'm talking about, and that's okay. And if I don't see any, then we're good. Okay.
Well, just give me the brief overview on the offer.
I got confused at first, but now I know it's for actual clients. Perfect. And that's a good answer. I mean, there's a lot for us to learn, but I actually created that. What I used to do was just have it on like my notes section, and I'd have questions that I would say, hey, I'm going to text you guys these things just so that you're prepared for what we have to do when it's time to write an offer. And then we would go over that stuff in advance. And so it's really important to have your clients really understand what that is in advance about this offer that's going to be coming. And so what I would do is, once we created this fancy link with all this stuff, is I send them that in advance. And I say, I want you guys to see this now because I want you guys to be prepared so that you're ready when we find that house. How many of you guys are doing that? Has anybody thought about that? It's pretty cool.
Similar. Yeah. I'm gonna look at your phone.
Yeah. I mean, Justin, you may not seen it. And again, this is what I do. So we're asking what I do, but like I send that to them and say, hey, I'm going to give you this so that you can see what all this is, because there's going to be words on there that you're not going to understand. And of course, this is for people that, haven't really been through an offer before or whatever it is. I'm going to send you guys this. So it's all about like directing them and telling them, here's what it is. Here's the next steps. Here's what we're going to do. They feel confidence in you too, and you're directing them to that kind of stuff. So I guess that's kind of my, 2 cents. Of course, read the MLS directions, you guys. We have, for example, me personally on my listings, I have like a little bit.ly link that says send the offers here because it goes into a spreadsheet for me. It's so frustrating to me when people don't just do that little link. Something as simple as that. I'm like, okay, please go back and do the link. And it's super simple, but it makes
it's hard because people put you in a spot where they make you look like catty or something. You're like, no, I'm just trying to like eat my lunch and not have to do it for you.
Yeah, just make my life easy. It goes into a spreadsheet for my clients. It makes things a lot easier when we're reviewing it. I have everything in one place. It's also very compliant with the broker file because now we have all this stuff from all the offers in a listing in one file. But anyways, point being is it's a link. So use the link and send it over. You don't know how many times I get agents who send literally, they forward the DocuSign or they put me on as a receiver to the DocuSign when the clients are done signing it. Wendy, you've seen that one? I'm like, are you serious?
Like, present your offer. Don't just like forward it to me like an afterthought, like you're on date night.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
especially
all
if they
these little
haven't,
things.
especially
ahead.
if they haven't contacted you in advance to know that it's
Totally. Oh my gosh, totally.
Like, what is
It is. Yes. Do not do that stuff, you guys. They are looking at you as like, who is this person that I'm literally going to be married to for the
Yeah.
next 30-ish days?
That's it. You're dating, right?
Yeah.
And we talked about
Yeah.
that the last time we did this on like a smaller scale. But yeah, you're on blind date, right? You want to make sure they pick you. So don't mess up too much there on that side of things. But I actually had one worse where I had an agent be so presumptive. They sent me the DocuSign Siri, but they sent it for like me to have like to sign. Like here, we're done. Go ahead and sign. And I was like, wait, what? Like,
I mean, maybe we should have them on and see how it works, but maybe that's how they win offers.
tell me about your 6% acceptance rate.
I'll put the link in the chat for you guys too of the buyer offer. Yeah.
I think someone is.
It's also, you guys, it's on FUB in the custom fields. It's always there too. So if you guys need, oh, Liv's got it. Yeah. It lives there in every client.
Yeah. So basically, like you'll find, I personally believe 80% of the work that you do, potentially more, is yes, the offer, that's the finishing piece of it. But 80% of the work you're doing is rapport building ahead of time. And that starts with not violating the rapport and not going negative, right? So there's like the negative, like didn't listen to MLS instructions. Yeah. Sent an offer like without calling, whatever it might be, and sent me the DocuSign. Like there's negatives there. Like you're in negative rapport zone, right? You don't want to be there when it comes to, they don't know your client. Like you have to recognize that. They don't know your sweet, bubbly, lovely, compliant, teachable, coachable client who's just going to be a dream in escrow, who has $6 million in the bank cash. So it's no big deal. They're wonderful. They're a unicorn client. But guess what? They don't know them. They only know you. So if you mess it up for your client, like it doesn't matter how awesome of a unicorn they are, they're not going to get into escrow. So just keep that in mind. Like you're the one being interviewed. Your client's just a piece of paper at that point to them. Like they're never going to meet your client. You're the only one interfacing with the agent, and they're telling their client whether you're going to be good for them or not. So you have to remember that you're whining and dining the listing agent. So, Liv just put that in the forms for you guys too, just in the chat. So you can take a look at that pre-offer form. Yeah, absolutely. It's also, speaking of whining and dining, not too early as well. MLS says go on the MLS, go on showing time, book the showing. You book the showing. Guess what you can do now? Send a video text, right? Who knew this was coming from me? Send a video text. Hey, thanks so much, Serri. I really appreciate you letting me show you the house tomorrow at 12. Really excited. My clients think this might be the one. We'll find out. But if so, I'll give you a call tomorrow. We can go over a couple quick terms to see how I can best help your clients. And when we write an offer. Like you can do that early. It's really like, you're like, well, we don't know if we're going to write in hair. We don't know if we're going to write the offer yet. Right. And you're like, well, it's fine. Oh, there you go.
We're listening, Justin.
Yeah.
We're just also observing Ruth over here.
Yeah.
We're good though.
There you go. Hi, Ruth. Yeah, so it's not too early, guys. Like, you guys all have heard me talk video strategy stuff. Like, seriously, help them put a face to a name. Can I tell you why? Like, honestly, the number one reason I've had 25 out of 27 offers accepted, I think the number one reason is the video. Like, that's up my stats more than anything I've ever done. The second I started embedding video in my offer templates, and the second I started doing video text to an agent, I mean, it's nothing fancy. Like literally, I'll get out of the gym, be like, hey, we just submitted an offer to you. Just want to say thanks. Really appreciate you. I wanted to help you put a face to a name. I believe business is better that way. That's literally what I say every time. So like in a year, how many homes do you show? How many agents are going to see your face? How many people are going to be friendly with you in this market? 7 years from now, or 20 years from now? Gosh, you're like the mayor of Agent Town. Everyone wants your offer. So always submit a video. Hey, this is Justin. Hey, Serri, super excited to show your listing tomorrow. Thanks so much for making it easy through showing time. Yeah, whatever. Be a little bit of a kiss ass. It's okay. Like, thanks so much for making it easy through showing time. I really appreciate it. We're going to go tomorrow and see the property. They think it's the one. We'll find out. You know how buyers are, but they're great buyers. I'll give you a call.
I think it's good to remember too, like this probably a couple years ago would have been overwhelming for listing agents, to be honest. We were like, please, no more phone calls. It's too much. I can't get back to you guys. But we're not in that market anymore. So you can get fancy and get specialized and get fun and do all the things like this now, for sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that's a good point too. You got to make sure you're paying attention that your tactics today aren't tactics for tomorrow sometimes. So you're going to have to leave some of the stuff in the dust, right? So yeah, absolutely. So read the MLS, send a video, send a video thanking When it comes to showing the home, I know we're talking about writing offers, but you're in the pre-offer form. They're still, looking over to see if you're someone they want to do business with, right? So there's cameras in every listing now, right? And there's Ring doorbells. Like, just remind your clients of that stuff. Like, hey, we don't want to be the person trying to get an offer accepted when the seller has a video of your kid jumping on a $4,000 crate and barrel couch. Had it happen. My client was super mad. So was there the son that like walked on my kitchen table? I was like, probably. Yep, probably. Offer's good though. So don't go negative on her phone. Anything to add? Serri, what's the craziest thing your clients have like reported back to you on like a video or that they've had happen to their house during a showing?
I don't know. I had a lady have her water break in a house one time, but I don't think they had videos on it. So
I'll need like a blame.
I had a guy one time hold my house open and they had cameras and he was saying how ugly everything was. That got reported back. So never do that in an open house either. Agents are watching and listening.
Yeah. I forgot who I was just telling that to somebody. Oh, I had someone shadowing me, a younger kid from the area was shadowing me at my open house 2 weeks ago. And I was like, hey, by the way, when we go inside, like, just be happy about the house. Make sure you say those things. He wasn't totally getting it. I'm like, there's cameras everywhere nowadays. Just,
right.
You love the house. You're selling the house. When you leave, think your own thoughts about it.
Right.
So do those things. Make sure there's just no barriers to your offer being written, and then add some, plus up some of those points when it comes to rapport. It's a video game, really.
I had a seller check the camera throughout the whole open house not too long ago. So they're definitely watching.
Oh yeah. Wouldn't you? I mean, think about it. Wouldn't you be watching what's going on at your house? Like,
yeah, for sure.
Can't blame them. Yeah.
And remind them, you can hear them all out to the curb. I've totally had a seller send me a video. It was like, hey, these people were talking about lowballing us. They said they hated the house, but like, et cetera. So just make
They're
sure.
watching. They're always watching.
Serri's always watching our house too.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm watching you, Rich.
He's in the panic room right now.
He is. Work harder, Rich.
I have a small section in my closet that there's no camera.
Yeah. You just kind of hide in between the coats.
And all it really is it's my nose in the corner.
Oh, your wife has a timeout chair for you too. Mine too. Yeah, put my
I don't get a chair.
Oh,
I get hung by the toe upside down.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, they'll have to compare notes.
Cool. I think I was on to the other one, Justin, that you did. And I want to also just continually remind you guys to have fun with this stuff too. Like, I mean, are you feeling like this is exciting to show up, exciting to like, when you leave and they find a house that they like and you're like, awesome. Are you guys getting on when you have that energy with the agent and saying, hey, I'm going to call them or do the video, whatever works for you, and let them feel that excitement with you, Hey, John, like I just showed the house. They are so excited. Like this is what they've been looking for. We're going to be working on an offer. Let me tell you a little bit about them if you have a second.
Yeah. Like
have them feel that excitement with you. We don't need to be so like robotic and we're like professional compliant people and all that stuff. Like get hyped. I'm known for, I meet someone for the first time and I'm like, oh, I love them. They're my best friend. Right. But let them feel that. And again, you guys are all your own personalities and stuff like that. Right. I'm not saying be that, but just, make sure that they're really feeling how excited you are about their property and what's coming. Hey, this is Serri. It's coming. I'm really excited. We're going to put something together. Is there anything I should know about the house when I'm writing this up? Anything besides what's on the MLS? Because I looked all those notes over.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, totally. I usually say I haven't read the MLS yet. Can you tell me? I'm just kidding. But yeah, totally. Yeah, 100%. Like be excited about it, right? And if you guys want to know number one way to get excited about something or sound excited on the phone, just jump up and down like 10 times. That was a Tom Ferry thing. Jump up and down, smile, and laugh. Make yourself laugh, and you'll be awesome on the phone. It shakes loose all those endorphins you need. So
Sharon said she's like that too. Yeah, I think we kind of came from the same mold of that. Like they can feel it. Yes, look, see?
Serene needs offers accepted. She's doing some damage in Target right now.
She's like, listen, I'm in Target right now. I need you to accept this offer. I mean, be funny with people too.
I think Target Drive Up saved me like $900 a month on my wife's shopping bill. I'm like, no, Target Drive Up. I'll just pick it up for you on the way home. It's cool. She's like, no, I got it. I'm like, no, I'll do it. I don't want to work the rest of my life. Awesome. So yeah, so build rapport ahead of time. I think it's the most important piece. Be excited when you call them on the phone. Let's talk about when you call them on the phone, because you are going to call them on the phone, right? Don't drop an offer in their inbox and take off. Don't just throw it at the wall and see what sticks. Serri, how many offers have you gotten that no one called or texted?
So many. It just doesn't mean anything. I don't know who these people are. I don't know who the agent is. I don't know who the buyer. I don't know anything. I just get this piece of paper with numbers on it. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
tell me more. Yeah.
Now I tell most buyers, and actually I did this on Saturday. Yeah, Saturday I did a Sunday I did a Zillow Flex showing, first showing ever for her. Talked with her about it. And then I said, hey, just so you know, I do things a little bit differently too. I know most agents, they like to just strap a blindfold on and fly a plane. The reality is, I think you're going to have a lot better luck if I go ahead and call the listing agent and find out a little bit more about the situation. And then we can write the smartest offer possible that's custom tailored to get accepted. Does that sound good to you? And she was like, yeah, that's great. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, who's going to say no to that, right? I'm like, or, hey, I know a lot of people like throw their hard-earned money at the wall and see what sticks. I like to do it a lot differently. What if you don't have to bid as high as you might think you do? Let me go ahead and call the agent and get a little bit of info for you. So always call the agent, like always. You have no idea what they're valuing or prioritizing. Serri, what are some of the things that people prioritize over price or in addition to price?
Real quick, Felly put she writes best offer for 123 Main Street in the subject line.
Ooh,
That's pretty cool. I like that one.
good.
I like it. Okay.
It's good.
Justin, go back because I was squirreling off on that. What'd you ask me?
I was asking what, in addition to price, are important things you look for on an offer or that your client considers on an offer?
We're going to be looking at, down payment. We're going to be looking at type of loan, down payment, type of loan, certain contingencies that they're waiving.
Mm-hmm.
All that stuff goes into it too.
Yeah.
And again, back to making sure that it's going to get closed, because it's all a piece of paper until it means nothing unless I feel like we can get that thing closed. So even if the offer is higher, but I'm not comfortable with those other terms or the agent that we're working with, it really doesn't matter if we don't close on that price, then it means nothing. You don't get any money from it for your client. Like, you lost it.
Yeah. I usually tell the client, it doesn't matter what we start with, it matters what we finish with. And that's what we're looking
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, Shireen.
Contingencies are a big one. Really, contingencies, short or long escrow. It really just depends on knowing what your client's situation is.
Right.
SIP, knowing what your client's situation is, and then lining it all up. And like, I just closed one recently where it was like this. It was this whole domino of if this, then that, because there was all these contingencies and stuff going on. And we had multiple agents. We had like 3 agents, all of us just trying to ping everybody up. And we all got along so well, and we all worked together. And that's one thing I want to remind you guys too. Like, I think we're so trying to be compliant on our contract that we almost forget that we agents are here to work together. So like, I get asked, okay, well, contingencies are due today. And I'm like, well, have you talked to the agent? No. And I'm like, well, why? Like, why don't you get on the phone and call the agent and say, hey, here's what's going on. I just need a couple more days, and here's why. And you should have done that even before that contingency date was due. Like, you should all be on the same page. Like, the goal is to get to an end together, regardless of contract dates. I think we get so stuck on that stuff. Like, that's where the rapport. Yeah, there's plenty of times where contingencies pass, and I'm like, it's cool, we're talking, we figured it out. They're like, do you want me to send an extension? I'm like, we're good. Like, yep. I get you, we're fine.
You can't, that's the EQ piece of it, right? That's the emotional intelligence piece of it. How's the other person going to feel with this if we're making progress already? Mm-hmm. And looking at what they had to lose, and looking how far we are in a transaction, and what their clients have on the backside, right? So,
and that agent remembers you, and they remember that experience. So these agents, it's all about experience. Everything is experience, from your clients to the agents. Everything is an experience that they're going to remember. They're going to remember all these experiences. I couldn't tell you, hey, I sold 123 Main Street and the price was such and such, but I can remember the agent I worked with if I like the agent. I can remember that. I can remember the client if I like the client.
That reminds me
Hopefully,
of
hopefully they remember me.
I was hearing she's like the chief whatever made up tech name of client experience or customer experience for Google. Renee Maluka, I think her name was. I saw her at a conference once. And she was illustrating that perfectly where she said, everyone raise your hand if you took an Uber here. People raise their hand, like 7,000 people in the auditorium. And like 6,500 raised their hands. And she's like, how many of you remember what you paid for it? And like everyone put their hands down. Like no one knew. $1.25, $6, $12. And she goes, great. Now what was your experience like? And then like everyone raised, she's like, if you have an experience, raise your hand. And like almost everyone raised their hand. And she asked people, and the guy's like, oh, he wore too much cologne. Someone's like, the car was great. She had hand sanitizer, wipes, and all this stuff. And the other guy's like, I just remember there's like a dirty fry on the ground. Like, but like, so no one knew what they paid. No one knew what they paid. I mean, you work for a living and no one knew what they paid, but everyone knew their experience, how it made them feel.
Yep.
Totally.
That's a good example. That's
Yeah,
great.
Shireen, what's going on?
Hand raiser.
Hey,
Hey.
one of the things, okay, kind of surprising, but a few months ago, I had a deal accepted. We weren't the highest offer at all. It just came on the market. It was gorgeous, South Temecula, beautiful. We offered list price because that was my client's max, but I followed the instructions that the agent gave, and one of those was the exclusion. A lot of agents forget to read the exclusions, and I literally put down in the offer all of the exclusions that said, and one of them was like a Mary, like she was Catholic, it was a Mary statue. Another one was American flag that was in the front with the post. I put those little things in, and we ended up getting our offer accepted day one. They didn't even counter us. They ignored all the other offers that came through because the sellers felt like my buyers respected them. It was the craziest thing. Even the agent was blown away. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that happens all the time, but I feel like just following the instructions. That's
Yeah. That's a great story. I mean, really,
shocking.
it's the little things. It's just the little things that can make such a big difference in all that stuff. It's the details. Yeah.
Shireen, I just want to point out that you're in the not as good a target as mine on my side of town. Just pointing it out.
No, I know, but this is closer to my gym. I'm not
On a
pretending to
sewer.
work out today.
Target to work
I
out.
needed envelopes. What are you gonna do?
Awesome. Yeah, so there's other things people look for when it comes to the offer, right? It's a well-rounded package. You can't just blow out the price of something nuts that want to praise for and expect like, why didn't we get our offer accepted? So call the agent, ask them questions. I will tell you guys this. When I call the listing agent, I'll give them a call. I usually don't text them because what I don't want to do, they get grumpy. I don't want to text and go like, hey, do you have time for a quick call? And they're like, oh. I just would rather call. So call the agent. Hey Serri, how's it going? Just want to, check in. Like I said, showing went amazing. We want to write an offer for you. If you have 2 minutes, I'd love to just go over that real quick. So and this is my favorite line that I've been using the last year or so. I really believe I had the right buyer for you. Now I just need to get you the right offer. So help me out here. What is going to best help your client? Like, I just say that I have the right buyer. Now I just need to get you the right offer. It's kind of like we're halfway there and they feel like, I don't know, like they're making progress. Like they're just like, oh, okay, like cool. We have the right buyer. We need the right offer. Okay, what we got? Or it's just something they've never heard before. And then, how can we help your client get to the next chapter of life? How can we help your client best on what we write on an offer? Because you just don't know. So I would tell you like, that's a really good question to ask them. I have the right buyer. Help me write you the right offer. So do you have any other examples on how to approach a listing agent, Serri, that's like you've heard or that you've used that's been really helpful on getting information?
No, does anybody else? I see some stuff in the chat, but like, does anybody else have anything that they can share? I always love just you guys, Wendy, like what are some things?
Yeah, so definitely reaching out to the selling agent is super important, which I did on one transaction. And you know how cagey some agents can be about, well, how many have you got any offers? And, can you give me an idea of where they're coming in at? So I know where, if we can be competitive. And again, like Jason just said, write the best offer possible for your client. But after talking with this agent, he was, I think, so happy that somebody actually was asking him these questions that he literally gave me a price that if you can come in at this price, I can almost assure you that the deal is yours. It's like, oh, okay. Because
Yeah.
Ta-da.
I bet it's your tone too, Wendy. Like seriously, if I had you call me and I can just feel you right now. I can feel you in your tone. It just feels good. It's warm. It's inviting. I want to understand who you are more. I would want to talk to you more
Well,
and feel good.
whatever,
Yeah,
it worked because we got the deal, and the seller was very happy, but the agent was just thrilled because I made it so smooth for him, but also we had a relationship, and he
Yeah.
was trying to help me help him.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We're all here to work together. Like that's what you need to keep emphasizing to these agents is, hey, we're here to work together for our clients,
Mhm.
And I have a really great buyer over here. Just wanted to know a little bit more about your sellers and really see how we can make this work together. They're really excited about the house.
I do have one comment back on when we're talking about cooperative working with other agents in the area. There are 2 other homes within a 1-mile radius of my listing, and both of those agents and I connected, and theirs was much higher price point. Theirs had a pool, mine did not, but we all said, hey, and our homes were not selling, but we all agreed, let's refer to each other's listing. It's like, okay, you're not going to get that deal anyway if the people walk out, because mine didn't have a pool, and they wanted a pool, so I wasn't going to get that offer anyway. But I said, hey, there is another, there are 2 other properties just within a couple blocks, and vice versa. I had other people come into my listing. They said, oh, so and so from the Gable Court just suggested we come over here and take a look at your listing. So if you can get the cooperative, let's help each other kind of thing, especially in this super tight market, it really is very beneficial.
Yeah. So like if you were a listing agent and Wendy just had sent a text, was there any tonality? Was there anything that they could pick on up from Wendy or anything like that? You would just get a text, right? So now if Wendy was to call you or send a video, how would that change it for you as a listing agent, truly? So think about that. So it's always good to say, if I was that person or if I was in that person's shoes, what is their experience back before you're doing anything? Because that's going to give you a lot of perspective and clarity on the right thing to do. And I know sometimes we're just racing around and it's not going to be perfect. I mean, obviously don't not do anything if you're not in a situation or a position where you can't, but always try to give more back of who you are.
Yeah. And that's huge. And that's why I would honestly advise not to send a video or a text when you're trying to get offer info. I would just do the call. You guys know I'm super video forward, but I wouldn't do a video on that one. I would call. So I think nothing's going to replace your tone and your energy and your kindness and those things. There's a reason we have a voice, right? So yeah, I would absolutely make sure that's one of the things that we do.
Can I just share something?
Yeah.
On my last deal, the listing agent was so difficult, and this is like something that I felt so intimidated. And of course, my first deal, it was a $1 million home. They ended up going for 1.2, but she never answered the phone. I called her, super excited, saying that I had a client that was super interested in the house and we were going to write an offer. She didn't reply, so I follow up with a message, and she literally sent me a message like, she just sent me the message with all the contingents, what the sellers were looking for. And I was like, well, I'll talk to you on the phone. She was like, I have nothing to say. This is all I have. I never spoke with her on the phone. Never. She literally would send me a message like 9:30 at night. And to this day, I never talked to her.
So some people are going to be like that, right? You're going to get that. You're going to remember that name. And let's say you have a listing and that agent comes to you. I don't know. Think about it, right?
Speaking of it, what would happen to us?
It did. Remember that one?
I literally felt like I was asking her a favor the whole time in this transaction. And she kept treading like, if your client don't agree, I have someone else. So let me know. She was like always like trying to rush me into things. So, it was the worst experience, literally the worst experience for the first time.
So
Yeah.
I'd say two things on that. Number one, my initial, and those that know me aren't surprised. My initial response is we're not we're recording, but this is all team, right? Pretty much. There's no one else not team.
Yeah. I mean, it'll go on YouTube, but we're fine. So don't. Yeah.
My initial response is like, yeah, screw you too, right? Like, got it. I'm putting my best foot forward. I know who I am. I know what I do. I know I do it well. So like, disrespectful, right? The 20-year in the future me would wish that I put up with someone being a blank. And at the end of the transaction, I was like, hey, okay, this is done and over with now. Let's go grab coffee. Because now, like, the power vacuum is gone. Like, hey, let's grab coffee now. I want to learn from you or whatever. Kiss her butt, make it happen. Because let's be honest, agents like that are kind of a-holes, they probably list a decent amount of properties. When you get that far in business, I think some people forget that, like, they forget the human piece of it 100%, but they've also gotten far enough in business that they feel like they can. So regardless or not, if there's a bunch of signs in the yard in San Diego County, I kind of want to know the person. And I'll give you an example why. So I was asking if he's recording. My first $1 million plus deal was with Jim Buttrell. And he ran me into the ground. That dude was like, hello,
Justin, I had one with him too. And it's funny because tables turned later. And I was like, oh, hey, Jim, like, we're friends.
Yeah. I've had Blake Corey, I've had Jim. Jim was by far, man, that guy ran me in the
Louis,
ground.
can you cut this out? Thanks.
But Jim and I, if you guys remember, like 6 months ago or whatever, like 4 months ago, someone was having a problem getting into one of Jim's listings. And because I knew Jim and I could have a really blunt conversation with him at that point, because I had like won his respect on the deal, I texted him and he was like, yeah, fine, just contact my assistant. They'll get him in the next day. So like, we have that now. So my point on that is, like, you might not always love the people you're doing business with, and they might be prickly as all get out, but use them. Just use them. Just be yourself and go the extra mile, even though you don't owe it to them. You're not doing it to be their friend. You're doing it for your next client that's coming that wants to see their home. So suck it up is kind of my thing on that one, because that's not the route I want to go either. But we just have to play nice with people like that in the market. So, and just know you'll win over anyone else because you lasted.
Yeah, we did, but I sent a message. Like, it was a pleasure working with you. Of course, it wasn't, but she said the same.
Do the right thing.
End of the day.
Yeah, just do the right thing. Bo has something in here, which is cool. He adds the listing agent on social. Let them know who you are. Find some common ground. Dogs, kids. Social is a good one with agents too. George, I think you do that too.
I do that. Yeah. So I follow every listing agent that I do it, just so one, they can see obviously your real estate productivity, your actions, how you're presenting yourself through social media. But also, and to go back onto what you guys are saying, is like, it's such a, like, there's so many agents, but it's so small. It's such a small group. You're going to run into these people again. Yeah. Like, for example, I ran into, I'll drop his name because I don't care. I rode on one of his properties near my house, and it was Vincent Morris. And we had the winning offer. And he's like, well, if you're not waiving your appraisal, then it's not a real $900,000 offer. So they went with an offer that was $20,000 less, even though they had an appraisal at $900,000. Well, tables turned because he wrote an offer on our property over in Oceanside. And I was like, well, come to find out.
We let the client decide. I do have to preference.
We gave the client the best options forward, but he did give us a solid offer before we went to the market. Gave us his sob story about how his clients haven't won. They keep getting beat out, blah, 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 blah. Ultimately ended up losing on our house. But, if he was nicer, maybe I would have done a little more to help him out.
Yeah, because you want to champion some people, right? Like, dude, I remember I had an agent and they were like, hey, I'm newer. Mm-hmm. And they were like, they laid it all on the line, like, intelligently, right? Yep. And they were just like, can you help me with what your client's looking for? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And they're like, hey, I don't need help on paperwork. Like, I would love it, but like, I've seen your name in the market, but I have a mentor. I can help me with that. I'm like, no problem. I actually ended up like helping him through some of it. But I was like, told my clients, I'm like, he's great. Yeah. He's humble.
Yeah,
he's
humble.
It'll be good
humble, you guys. That's a good one. Humble. Yeah.
And usually when the agents are good and humble like that, typically they can transpire that to their client. Yes. So you're going to have a smooth transaction majority of the time because of that.
And so George, I was talking about before you came on, sorry, Justin, the one we're opening today and how I know Yanni who's an agent over in Oceana. I haven't worked with her in a bazillion years or whatever, but we picked up like we were long lost friends. Like I called her yesterday. I told Georgia I'm going to call her.
Yeah.
Hey Yanni, and she's like, "What's up, girl?" You know,
and we had two other cash offers, so we could have went with the other ones, but at the end of the day, it's kind of who you work with matters in agent to agent, not just your clients. And then also I'm going to touch back further before this conversation. I think it was calling the listing agent and trying to get information. I think that's what you were talking about. I came in like midway.
Yeah.
But one of the verbiage I've used that actually works a lot of the time is, look, I know you're probably not going to tell me your highest offer. You're not going to tell me, where you're at price wise, but can you give me some sort of range so that I'm not totally off, to have my clients come in with a competitive price? And usually it works. 9 times out of 10, they'll be like, I'm north of 940, but south of 980. So then you have a range of, you can go back to your client and be like, look, we need to be at the top end of 980.
Well, to that point too, just make it not your first question, right? Like that's
right. For sure.
People ask
go to the other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have offers and what price? And I'm like, okay, cool. We're like really one dimensional here. We're like, I'm trying to play, 3D chess. And so I think like when you ask like, hey, I have the best client for you. I want to write you the best offer now. So help me do that. What are your clients looking for? What do they value? And like Feli said, talk about SIP, soft serve some stuff first for them and butter them up. It's like going on a first date and you're like, so you want kids? Like first question, right? You're like,
yeah. Well, it's also funny you say that though, because then I always end it with, okay, now I am going to ask the question that everybody asks. Where are we at price wise?
Yep.
And that's how I end the conversation. Because if you, like you said, if you don't build the rapport in the front and you don't like feel them out trying to get their buy-in, they're just gonna be like, okay, you want the price. That's it.
That question's not a given, but it is earned. It's not always given, even if you feel like it's earned, but it is earned. So just make sure you're like doing that at the end. So that's a good one. That's a really good observation.
I think Jody, did you raise your hand? Or I thought I saw it.
Yes, I did. I was just gonna. My voice is really screwed up.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say I had a deal last year when it was like crazy, go over asking, but one of my old coworkers was a listing agent and he just fought for me and he really had great communication because we had good communication from even working together. So it really has a good sets a good foot forward when you have a good relationship with somebody. Like you guys were all saying, if you're able to get a good relationship with any of these listing agents and they're going to fight for you and help you win the deal.
Yeah, for sure. And if you have a sexy voice like Jody has right now, that might actually be a good time to call someone.
Smoke a cigar or something.
I know. Jody, call the agents now. Come on.
Oh my God, I'm afraid to call anybody right now.
Hey Siri, you got any offers going on?
Sympathy works too.
That's great.
All fails. Use your kids.
Oh, you know what? That is, I'm glad you brought that up because I've had so many agents. No. I mean, obviously I've had a lot of little munchkins in the background of my life, but like Bo, you're shaking your head because you've got that in the background. You guys, unless the kids are just flipping out and throwing fit, kids humanize you.
Yeah.
They literally humanize you and you're like, hey, I've got my kids here. Hold on a second. I love that stuff. And maybe that's just me, but I'm like, that's a person who's working through all this stuff and they have their kids there and they're humanized. So don't be shy around any of that stuff either. Be a human.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't go put your best suit and tie on.
Yeah.
Totally. I don't know the last time I wore a tie, to be totally honest. Little side note, there y'all go. Okay. So we talked through pre-writing an offer, right? Or the pre-offer piece of it, like pretty extensively. Build rapport, right out the gate, follow instructions, ask good questions, call them on the phone, ask pricing last, use your kids as a weapon.
or Jody's sexy voice, whatever you got to do.
Yeah, yes. Or use the Jody sexy voice. That's going to be forever immortalized on the brand. Yeah. All right, guys, remember, use your Jody sexy voice.
Anything you take from this, take that.
Quote of the week. Use your Jody voice.
Use your Jody sexy voice. Yeah. Cool. Now, like, let's talk the offer piece of it. So, that honestly, again, that's about on par. Like I said, about 80% is going to be the pre-report, right? Because there's a whole lot of forgiveness in there if you do something messy on the offer if you have the report. But let's not make that happen either. So we got 13 minutes left. Let's talk the offer piece of it. So when you're writing an offer, make sure it's complete. Please don't not write my seller's name in there. Don't not write my name in there. Don't forget your license number, the basic stuff, like put it in there. If it's VA, check VA. If it's not conventional, check all the other ones. How many times have you vetted an offer, George or Serri, and you're like, oh, they're VA, I'm taking it because it's zeroed down, but they don't have that checked, right? Like you're having to play catch up and guess.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, and to kind of piggyback off that, if you don't know the seller's name or if it's in a trust or you don't know what to put on there, put owner of record. Don't leave it blank, because the blank piece shows laziness of straight up, you didn't even look.
I'll tell you guys, I would always just put owner of record, and I sold a lot of homes. So just put that worst case scenario.
Yeah.
You're fine. Totally fine. Doesn't bother us.
Yeah. Tax records for us are pretty easy, like on CRMLS up here. So like you'll see the trust and the names, and you can do.
Yeah, the only thing is, and this is where I run into problems, is when you have like the first names and last names, which you don't know which is which.
Yeah.
Like when you go into like the Asian culture, the names are sometimes backwards. So that's when I'll put owner of record. But most of the time I'll get the seller's name.
Yeah.
Or here's another piece. Call the agent. See how he wants you to write it.
Right? Hey, I don't
How do you want
have to do an addendum. Yeah. Don't want to make
I want to write it as clean as possible. Who's your escrow? Who's your title? Who's your NHD? Who's your sellers? Make it as clean as possible, because then he won't count. Like it's going to be less of a counter.
That's an easy one too. Like, hey, I just want to save you the potential of having to do uniformal counter. What would you like to see on there that you normally put on the counter? That's a great question.
Exactly what I was gonna say is that I basically assume I
Oh,
don't.
look at Josh's polo. Look at that polo. Ooh.
Oh, his stayed clean. His stayed clean. How's yours, Christian?
Don't even ask.
Hey, I got some bleach for you, Christian.
Wow.
You can clean
Christian
that.
rolled around on the grass while golfing.
I gotta be bad at golf to get a polo.
Mine looks brand new. But anyways, I was gonna say I just tell him I want to write it as clean as possible. I know I could put in seller's choice, but I want to avoid a counter if I can. My mindset is I'm gonna get this accepted as is. So I always ask title, escrow. Obviously the whole conversation you guys already talked about, what's important. I love your line, because I usually say, other than price, what's important to the seller, but I love I have a perfect buyer. I want to write you a perfect offer. What's your seller looking for? I think that sounds much better than how I present it. But I definitely write in their title, their escrow, anything else they want in there, so that I don't want to counter. I really don't want one.
Yeah, totally.
By the way, guys, like one of the things I do say about my buyer as well is that they're well coached. Because I really personally value that in a buyer. Like, if the agent can't handle their client, nothing really matters, because you're going to get an RR the length of your arm or a $10,000 credit request. So
and remember, back to where we started this whole process, is they are well coached. Like, we went through stuff with them.
Yeah,
that's our job, you guys. That is what we do. That's our profession, is to help these people understand this stuff. Don't take it lightly. Like, invest your time into them.
Yeah, and kind of to go off that, Justin, being well coached, I tell the listing agent, like, look, when we saw the house, I picked it apart and I showed my clients, what may come up on an inspection, so they're well aware. So we're confident writing this offer.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think just coaching your client that makes deals all the more smooth, right? It's like how you get them into escrow to how you get them through escrow makes a huge difference if you can be authoritatively educational to them, right? So, but so when you write your offer, no blank spaces on there. Don't be sloppy with that. Write everything you mean. Check all the right boxes. What else? What else do you typically see not done, Serri? The arbitration section, even though it's potentially not mandatory on your signing.
I'll tell you what I'm seeing in some of the offers coming in on our listings now is almost everybody's putting in Section 1 clearance.
Yeah.
And in a multiple situation, if you find out they have multiple offers, if you even want to set yourself apart even a slightly little bit, keep it off. Keep it off, because you can always ask for it in repairs, but keep it off your contract, because that will set you apart.
Yep. Totally.
Yeah.
And if you're really competitive situation, you can also put in the buyer pays a lot of seller's closing costs minus like title.
We
and-
just had that. We just had that. We didn't take their offer, but we just had that because I had more rapport with the other agent.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
I
The other
mean,
one
that was
tried.
it.
He got close. He or she got close. Now, here's a question for you, Serri, or George, whoever's dealing with that specific 4 deals or offers. Could that number one offer have done anything to bridge that rapport gap and make you go, well, best offer, great agent?
Yeah, I think if he would have budged a little bit more on price and not said what he said, like, oh, I can come up to 410, but during an inspection, we may ask for it back. I don't know why you'd even say that.
Yeah, it's like, I don't want to go into that.
We don't want to go into an escrow with that. And then you have
Right.
the other agent was like, oh my gosh, you know what? Send me a counter right away. I know it's not where you want it. You know, let me go back to my buyer and see what I can do to get us up. They only came up 5K, but that piece was just enough, I think, for me.
Another one we had recently is they snuck in a document about commission.
Oh yeah.
You remember that one?
Yeah, that was disgusting.
And I had a lot of conversation with this agent. It was going really well until all of a sudden we saw something that was not talked about. And I'm okay with whatever they need to do, but it was literally deliberately not talked about. And so when I got back on the phone, it was just kind of a back shuffle.
Mhm.
They've lost me at that point. So be very transparent upfront with everything that you have in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just tell them ahead of time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that was a better priced offer. Was it not? It was way.
No, we would. Oh yeah, they would have netted more money. You're right.
Yeah, they would have.
Yeah.
But it goes
So-
back to certainty of close, right? At the end of the day, you don't want to cancel on day 12 because the agent's an idiot that can't manage.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So some of the things, like going back to take termite out, I mean, there's things that you can start kind of going through with your client and saying, hey, I'm not necessarily saying for you to do these things, but I do want you to know these are some things that you can make your offer a lot stronger. So, hey, do you want to waive certain contingencies? Here's what that means to you. Home warranty, here's what that means to you. Whatever we can do to make this offer look that much better, let's try to think of those things when you know that you're in a multiple. And so I always explain to them too, what is your risk at the end of the day? And guys, remember their risk is their deposit. Okay. So get them back to what is their risk and remind them that, truly it's up to them, but it's our part to educate them on all the things that we could literally start to remove. What is your risk at the end of the day? Hey, by the way, if you remove these two things, you still have this contingency. And so it's like, you have to really understand contract negotiations and how you can mold this. But at the end of the day, they make the choice. But if you're not educating them on all these things, like you should be on the phone with them for quite a while or in front of them for quite a while, figuring out how to make this thing work. You're not doing it right, but if you're competing, you need to be taking things out or making things a lot shorter.
Mhm.
And you need to remind them again, it's the deposit.
Yeah, and that goes back to coaching your client, like Serri's talking about too, just making sure that you have the right kind of client that can write that kind of offer, right? Like I always joke around, getting a new buyer is like getting a big slab of marble and you got to start carving it into something really awesome. So same thing, you got to shape your client, you got to shape them into someone that's going to win. And so like coaching them up, there's that saying, in the absence of information is negativity. So if your client doesn't know what they're doing, they're going to be negative and they're probably going to go into fear mode. So like Serri said, what do you really have to lose? Nothing, honestly. Just be safe at this point.
Or I understand. I know this is a big risk for you, but what's more important? Do you want to risk this? Do you want to risk the house? Like, what is your call? What do you want to be? And I also remind them, like, at the end of the day, when you guys get those keys and you have this house, you're not going to remember all these things. You're going to be so stoked. And again, that's just all kind of like the coaching side of it too. But those are, how to write, what's the name of our thing again? How to write offers that don't suck. I mean, the offers,
the buyer doesn't suck first.
Strong and powerful. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. It's a joy, guys.
This is your shot. This is your shot, you guys.
Yeah, it's your joy to coach your clients up to that spot and again to write those offers and to see them win. Like that's freaking I love that feeling.
Right? When they call and say you got it, like, right?
The one last night, she was like, wait, really? I'm like, yeah. She's like, you had to like accept more first. I was like, no, I told you this is it. You signed, we're good. Yeah. She's like, what? So
then you run around the house jumping, screaming. They don't need to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, I ran around on video.
I knew it.
Yeah.
I have a little PS to add here, and that is I do this and I really appreciate it when others do it for me, is when you submit the offer, do a summary on the email. Just say, here's our offer coming
love
in,
that.
this price, you know, this contingency is removed, that contingency is removed, this is the down payment. I will always verify it once I look through the contract, but it's just sort of like, thank you for.
I used to have a template, Wendy. I mean, I know it, some of you that have been on the team for a while, we had little creative like PDFs and pagers and all that stuff. And I know agents that do that, but honestly, at the end of the day, we just want to look at an email and see. I just would copy and paste it from my notes, and it would just give like a summary of those things, and I'd fill it in. Super simple.
I'll probably revamp mine a little bit. Go ahead, George.
Yeah, I was gonna just say with that piece too, just to add one more piece to the summary. Always add in the lender.
Yeah.
Add the lender into your offer every time, no matter what. Even if you haven't even spoke to the lender, just write a piece and say, hey, by the way, I've included my buyer's lender. If you have any financing questions, you know, feel free to reach out to him or whatever. Most of the time it's PGS. So then I put, you know, I've closed 50 plus deals with Josh. We're not going to have any, you know, financing issues with this transaction, because they want to know that your buyer is secured with a loan, not just some, you know, lending tree pre-qual that doesn't do anything.
So there's a couple things. I'm going to revamp mine a little bit too, but there's a couple things. So I have a template, a Gmail template that I just click templates at the bottom. So Google it, GTS that, look up how to do a template, guys. Bottom 3 dots. If they're not there, you got to enable templates. Click your templates. I do offer template pops up, has all my stuff already done on there. All I have to do is erase the old details, put new ones on there. First thing I put on there is, hey, thanks so much for talking to me on the phone. I really appreciate you taking your time. We really wanted to honor that by writing you the best offer. Second, I've got Josh Schelsinger, insert lender here. You know, their amazing thing, the best thing since sliced bread. The great thing about Josh is you're never going to ask for email updates. He's going to give them to you like 19 for every transaction. Yeah. His number's right here. He'll be reaching out to you as well. And I CC him on there also. And then I have a quick intro video, and it's my bomb. And it's really short. It's like 45 seconds. Hey, thanks so much, Serri. I really appreciate you taking the time to read my offer, blah, 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 blah. Tell them all about the client. I'm done. And then I have the offer summary. It's like the email is like this. It's small. It's very succinct and it's small, but it's powerful because it has thank you, gratitude, lender, video, summary. So it has that summary you guys talked about. I have concessions in there too. And strictly from the standpoint that Serri, what you talked about, is something I never want to happen where someone thinks I'm slipping it in. So on concessions, I'll put, you know, 2.5% closing costs, termite section 1 clearance, home warranty.
Yeah, make it clear. Yeah, just make it clear. It's there anyways. Yeah.
And then at the very bottom, I put proof of funds. If they're a baller, I take that out if it's like VA and they have like $4,000 in their bank account. But if they don't, I totally keep proof of funds, 198,000 plus, and it's on the offer sheet. Like, you want them to look like a baller, right? So thanks so much. I'm looking forward to partnering on this deal, no matter which way it goes. Appreciate you. And then someone's put on there, just make sure you properly label your PDFs. Like, I like them separate personally. I don't like them all together because then I have to separate them.
Yeah.
But pre-approval, proof of funds, RPA, and any docs with it. And then CC the TC. I don't.
One other.
People say whatever they think, but I put a TC on there because I want them to know I use a TC and I'm a professional outfit.
One other thing before we get off. Yeah, one other thing before we get off is when you do your RPA as a listing agent, and I've always been taught this, put the address and then put hyphen and then your client's last name and offer. Because for a listing agent, that's so easy to copy, paste, and move over to a folder rather than RPA 1221, whatever the standard thing that comes out, because then that's also going to set you apart.
Yeah.
I think one more quick thing to bring up too is like, if you have any kind of, and this is not necessarily supposed to be there, but like we've had some people still send a picture or we've had, you know, again, that is something to be determined on how you do that, you know? So this is, like I said, it's going to be on YouTube. So I'll just let everybody do what they need to with this information, but we're still getting stuff like that on our offers. You know, photos of the family are just, you know, sometimes not even a photo. Sometimes they just write something up. So you could not include a photo. They can just write up a letter. You know, some of them just had a little baby. It just gets to know them. a little bit better. I've even gone so far as like leaving flowers at people's homes for my clients, like
Love
crazy
notes.
things, love notes, whatever it takes, but that's kind of a separate, win the deal kind of things that you can do. What can you do above and beyond that's still compliant? I'll just kind of put that out there.
I would accept George's offer if he like left a note on my door, sticky notes with like hearts on it.
George,
this is the best deal you're ever gonna deal with.
It's made George and Serri. It's made George and Serri. I'm like, no, I want George to write it.
George is an interest. Yeah, the combination of he and I, it's like me mixed with him. It's a good blend of, okay, Siri's going to go drop flowers off, not George, but yeah. Anyways.
Well, I hope that helps, guys.
Yeah.
We're, right now, like the market is in a weird spot. Like we have a lot of room to run. Like I'll tell you that when it comes to offers, you have a lot to run. Before, like Serri talked about, it was like bumper cars. It was just, yeah. So
this is your time to shine. This is your time to be the agents that agents want to work with. Like do everything you've got right now.
You're
like,
not
pour
offer
into
number
this
23.
stuff. No.
So,
And just to piggyback kind of off what Justin's been saying, this whole thing is educate your clients. It'll make your control and educate your clients, because then you're going to win, literally. Because most agents don't. They just write whatever their client wants them to write, and it could be 10,000 under list, 20,000 under list. But if you show them and educate them, you're going to win.
Yeah.
Like,
don't ever ask your client what they think the house is worth.
No.
So what do you want to write, Mr. Client, who's never written an offer before?
100,000 under list. Go win it for me, Justin. Do magic.
Like they're not stupid. Like I've had heart surgeons and stuff. They're not dumb. It's just I'm not going to tell them how to do heart surgery when I get surgery. So like they shouldn't tell me how to write an offer. Like it's not stupid.
Yeah.
So, but
cool. Well, this was fun, everyone. Thanks, Justin, for jumping in and doing this, because I know this was a continuation on a training that you did before, and I think we were like, let's take this further. So,
and whoever wrote Bo Borges, whoever that is, I would take their offer in a minute. OHIO, go Bucks. I would take that offer.
And they added in there.
See, look at that right there. Look at that. Like solid. Do that stuff, you guys. Look in the chat.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I would take that offer in a minute.
Well, yeah, you would. But do that stuff. I mean, Mark might be, hold on. Mark might not take that offer, but
Is Mark in here? He's like, no.
Yeah, he's here.
Well, yeah. Make him take that offer.
You'll take it.
Yeah. Mark, you're taking that offer.
Yeah. All right, everyone.
If you guys want the template, if you want the offer template, how I do it, just email me and I can get it over to you. How I do mine.
And if you guys want a winning template, email someone else.
Fellies is already better. I heard that subject line.
All right, it was fun. We'll see you guys. Thanks for joining.
Bye, guys.
Thank y'all.
See everyone.